got significant storm surge, and we saw a lot of damage. In Central Florida, in the Orlando area, we're seeing flooding due to a torrential rain of more than a foot. In Jacksonville and Northeast Florida, storm surge is 3 to 5 feet on top of more than a foot of rainfall, which is causing record and historical flooding along the St. Johns River. They also explained to me this morning preventing the water from flowing out as fast. I spoke to Jacksonville Mayor Lenny Curry this morning and assured him that resources are being deployed. Fish and Wildlife Commission immediately deployed 3 search and rescue teams with 22 officers and 10 boats that were pre-staged in the region to Jacksonville. We're going to do everything we did. The way I look at it is, as governor, and all of us think this way, we want to keep everybody safe through this storm, and we want to keep everybody safe back after this storm, and we get everybody back to a normal life as quickly as possible. We've also deployed a 25-person team from the State Emergency Operations Center to the Emergency Operations Center in Putnam, Duval, and Clay counties in response to this historic flooding. We will continue to send resources to Jacksonville and any other community in need. Rainfall exceeding a foot in many communities in Northeast, Central, and Southwest Florida. Fortunately, the heaviest rain has cleared the state. However, this rain caused flash flooding in Northeast Florida. Rivers across the state continue to rise, and standing water remains an issue over the entire peninsula. The biggest threat for this week as Irma leaves Florida will be river flooding, and most of that's going to be in the northern part of the state. Stay attuned to local advisories for river flood watches and warnings. Families in Southeast and Northwest Florida, as well as the Tampa Bay area, need to be especially vigilant as local rivers could remain at flood levels into this weekend, and we generally see that in the I-4 corridor north. The heaviest winds have now left Florida, but the entire peninsula experienced at least tropical force winds with hurricane gusts being felt as far east and north as Jacksonville. Thankfully, the threat of tornadoes has diminished. We've received 7 reports of tornadoes, including 2 in Brevard County. The National Weather Service is working to confirm these reports. Giving this weather report, if your family and your family have evacuated, it's extremely important that you check with local officials before return home to make sure you can safely do so. Don't go back. Don't think just because this thing packed you can run home or passed you can run home. We've got down power lines all across the state. We've got roads that are impassable still across the state. We've got debris all over the state. Our goal again is don't put any more lives at risk. We already went through this horrendous storm. Don't put your life at risk because of down power lines, debris, impassable roads. This morning I had the opportunity to travel with the Coast Guard and Admiral Schultz to survey damage throughout the west coast of Florida and through the Keys. I want to thank the Coast Guard for this opportunity. And here's what we saw. We saw the remnants of the storm surge along the west coast, but we didn't see I didn't see the damage I thought I would see. We clearly saw homes that were messed up. We clearly saw roofs that were off. We clearly saw boats out of the place and things like that, but I thought we would see more damage. There's still flooding, there's still sand on the roads and things like that, but on the west coast, and this is confirmed by the mayors I've spoken to today, it's not as bad as we thought the storm surge would do. Now, when you get to the Keys, we were able to fly into the Naval Air Station in Key West, which as of just a few hours before we landed, had significant water still on it. But they worked to clear that. We went over all that area. We saw a lot of boats washed ashore. We saw basically almost every trailer park, they're overturned. I don't think I saw one trailer park that almost everything wasn't overturned. We still saw a lot of flood damage, and from talking to the officials down in the Keys, the water is not working, the sewer's not working, and there's no electricity. So it's very tough. The National Guard, and this is Adjutant General Michael Calhoun, they've already gone all the way down the Keys, and all the bridges are passable, the roads are passable. However, there's clearly some bridge damage, there's clearly road damage, but you can get down there and traffic. There's not a lot of traffic, which is good. It's moving. My heart goes out to the people in the Keys. I mean, there's devastation. And I just hope everybody survived. It's horrible what we saw. I know for our entire state, but especially for the Keys, it's going to be a long road. There's a lot of damage. I know everybody wants to get back to normal. I know everyone wants to get started, but again, you got to be patient. You got to get the first responders in the Keys. We got to get the water going again. We got to get electricity going again. We got to get the sewers going again. It's going to take a lot of time. I can tell you, everybody at the local level, the state level, and the federal level, everybody's working hard. Our brave members of local, state, and federal law enforcement, the National Guard, military members have been working around the clock to save people alive. We've got rescue teams with all sorts of equipment trying to make sure we don't have we don't lose anybody. If anybody's in harm's way, you can call your local law enforcement. You can call the state emergency hotline, which is 800-342-3775. Somebody will show up. We're working with FEMA. I can tell you the White House has been outstanding. I talked to President Trump 3 times yesterday. I talked to Administrator Brock Long with FEMA already today. I talked to him multiple times yesterday. I can tell you, I've talked to so many cabinet members. I talked to Vice President Pence yesterday. The White House and everybody at the federal level is showing up, and they are going to. My belief is they're going to show up and they're going to do everything they can. And I'll talk about a little bit the missions, the resources they're providing. DOT is working hard to clear the roads and inspect the bridges all across the state. We need DOT to inspect the bridges before people go back to these Barrier Islands and places like that. It's a top priority. It was a top priority after Matthew. If you don't need to be on the roads, don't get out. I mean, there's still more. Again, there's power lines, all sorts of things like that we're working on. Let me just go on down. I've never used this to do this before. The U.S. Navy, the Coast Guard, everybody's going to be providing resources. The Navy has deployed the USS Iwo Jima, the USS New York, and the carrier Abraham Lincoln to help with search and rescue and a lot of other things. Power outages. We have about 65% of the state out without power. It's going to take us a long time to get power back. I've been talking to the utilities. I'm having daily calls with the utilities to get the power back on. They're going to do everything we can. I've been talking to nursing homes all morning. I've been talking to assisted living. Everybody needs their power back on. I can tell you that they're bringing in 23,000 members. This is just what the utilities are doing, not including what the federal government's doing, not including the support of the military. Fuel. We're doing everything we can to get fuel back in the state. As you all know, we had fuel shortages last week. We had outages. We had a lot of shortages. The two big ports are Tampa and Port Everglades. Both of them have fuel in their tanks that they had to have in the tanks during the hurricane. We're getting that out through our carriers. We're giving them law enforcement escorts. We're doing the same with the utilities to get the utility trucks out as much as possible. We've pre-positioned as many as we can. Some we couldn't, that ended up out of the state, and we're getting those down here as much as possible. I just tell you that everybody is going to work hard. But the way I think about it is we got to keep everybody safe. We've got to get our hospitals back open. We've got to get our fuel back here. We've got to get our roads open. We've got to get everybody their electricity back. And I can't tell you anybody that's not working. My experience is everybody is working their tail off. And unfortunately, everybody's going to have to be patient because it's going to be a lot of work to get this done. This is not an insignificant storm. This impacted what's different here is it impacted our state. You could usually pre-position assets on one half of the state or the other. This one you couldn't because it was coming all the way down the state. So it was a lot of work. So I want to thank everybody, starting with the president. I want to thank everybody at the federal government. I want to thank everybody at the local government. I want to thank everybody at the state government. They have busted their rear, keeping us all safe. So now it's my distinct opportunity to introduce somebody I've enjoyed traveling with today, and I know that with his leadership, the Coast Guard is going to be an unbelievable partner in this. Admiral Schultz.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. As our Acting Secretary Elaine Duke said this morning, the Department of Homeland Security has been preparing for Irma to arrive first in the Caribbean and here in Florida for the good part of more than a week. The Coast Guard has been reconstituting our forces today. We've got our first aircraft back here in Miami, in Clearwater, helicopters that arrived from sea-based cutters, and we'll be reconstituting our force in force bringing our people back into the state. This has been a very challenging storm in the fact that it covered the entire state. And our business model essentially is we flow our resources away so we can be the first back. This storm posed some challenges there. Requests for search and rescue so far have been very low. We've had enjoyed an exceptional partnership with a very capable Florida emergency management team, with our DoD, Department of Defense, and National Guard partners, and with state and local agencies, first responders. And the Coast Guard remains committed to supporting the state of Florida and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and I'll stand by for any questions. Thank you.
As you all know, we had a significant evacuation effort in the state. Our highway patrol did an unbelievable job keeping the roads open, making sure evacuation roads were open. We of course had to add some contour lanes, but shoulders. But our highway patrol did a great job. So now we have Major De La Pritra here from Highway Patrol.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, Governor. We appreciate your guidance, leadership, and support throughout this entire process. It's been overwhelming. The Admiral, General, the support of the military personnel that are supporting local law enforcement, our first responders, has been nothing short of spectacular. On behalf of the Florida Highway Patrol, we would like to urge all motorists in the South Florida area, Monroe, Miami-Dade through Broward County, to please avoid any unnecessary travel on our roadways. Help law enforcement, our first responders, and all of our recovery personnel, the fuel tankers, the utility trucks, and everyone else that's going to be involved in this lengthy process. Please assist us by staying off the roadways unless it's absolutely necessary, and most of all, overnight to comply with the curfews that are in place. It'll greatly enhance and help us accomplishing getting everyone back to a normal way of life. Thank you.
I called up 7,000 members of our National Guard. The National Guard shows up when there's a crisis. They've been deployed over 100 times since 9/11. But in crises like this, they always show up. We're also getting National Guards from around the country. Here we have Major General Michael Calhoun.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Governor. First, I'd like to thank you for your leadership, sir, and being proactive in this event and getting us pre-staged. I also like to thank the Coast Guard, along with some of our other sister services, for our support today and getting us down so we can evaluate the common operating picture. The Florida National Guard is fully activated. As of now, it's roughly 8,000 guardsmen on ground participating in this event. We've got 2,000 guardsmen in over 200 shelters of the 500 shelters that we have open. We've got 900 plus guardsmen in the immediate area, with another 500 coming tonight. As the governor mentioned, we did go all the way down to the Keys. There's light traffic, but we sent a small engineer asset along with them to ensure that the roads are clear of any debris. And right now it seems to be working smoothly. We'll also have search and rescue. If they're not on the ground in the Keys right now, a blended search and rescue with Fish and Wildlife, Florida National Guard, and Urban Search and Rescue. Sir, thank you very much. Penny.
The federal government is going to be a great partner, and one of the reasons is you've sent wonderful people to Congress. So now we're going to hear from Congresswoman Ileana Ross-Layton.
Thank you so much. Although we thank our first responders each and every day, today 9/11 is a especially poignant day, and we thank the firefighters, the police officers, all law enforcement personnel who walked into what was sure to be the day of their death. And that's the kind of sacrifice law enforcement and our military officials make each and every day. So we thank all of the brave men and women standing behind us that make every day possible for us to live in safety and without fear. I want to tell the governor that when Dexter and I, we were survivors of Hurricane Andrew 25 years ago, living in the same house. And boy, when you compare the federal, state, and local response during Andrew, before, during, and after the storm, to today with Hurricane Irma, it's been a, no pun intended, a sea change in a positive way. It's been coordinated, it's been seamless. I know that constituents are frustrated with the lack of gas and the lack of electricity, but it's been a big problem. It was a huge storm. It's going to take us a while to dig out of this. But Carlos Curbelo and I are determined to go back to D.C. and work with our colleagues to find the funds needed for the hurricane relief efforts. We found it for Hurricane Harvey. We're going to band together and find it for the residents who are survivors of Hurricane Irma. Para nosotros es un placer y un honor darle las gracias a las personas que sacrifican todos los días para mantenernos seguros. Hoy es un día muy simbólico para nuestra nación, el 9/11. Le damos las gracias a esas personas que sacrificaron sus vidas para salvarnos a todos, igual que a todos las mujeres y hombres que están atrás de nosotros, que sacrifican todos los días, en este caso por el huracán Irma. Curbelo y yo y toda nuestra delegación vamos a regresar a Washington en estos días para trabajar con nuestros colegas para conseguir los fondos necesarios para reemplazar FEMA y las otras organizaciones nacionales. Nosotros ayudamos a nuestros colegas en Texas y Luisiana con el huracán Harvey. Ellos nos van a ayudar también con el huracán Irma. Pero comparando la reacción del Estado, del gobierno federal y local de hoy en día con huracán Andrew, estamos en una posición mucho más positiva. So thank you, Governor Scott.
We'll be glad to answer any questions that anybody has. Say again? Oh, north of the Keys. If you get what you saw in Key West is you saw the boats damaged, you saw some houses damaged, you saw some roofs damaged. But as you go up towards Marathon, you saw any trailer park. I mean, I don't think I saw a trailer park where it seemed like everything wasn't turned over. You saw some flooding. You saw homes with without their roofs and things like that. You saw lots of boats damaged. That's where I saw the worst damage. You could clearly see the storm surge. Now, the positive is, I thought it was going to be even worse as far as 15-foot of storm surge. So I hope just hope everybody survived.
Any idea how much money the state is going to cost any?
No, but I'll tell you what I appreciate the president. He did a pre-landfall declaration and he did a major declaration. He did the pre-landfall right after I asked him. I think the day I asked him, and then he did the major declaration the same day I asked him. The Homeland Security, FEMA, the president, the vice president, they've just been great partners. We have rescue teams going out just to make sure. The flooding in Jacksonville, we sent a lot this morning because we saw so much flooding there. So I know we have teams out there, but I don't have any personal knowledge right now if somebody's still stranded. But I know we have rescue teams out. The local officials will announce any fatalities.
Are you prepared for the influx of Floridians who evacuated to come back downstate? There's not a lot of gas in the turnpike or the other stations.
Step one, we got to get the roads open. Highway safety, Department of Transportation is working hard to do that, especially the evacuation routes. Number two, we've got to get the fuel back. We're working to make sure Port Tampa and Port Everglades get open so we can get the tankers in. There's tankers ready to come in. They're bringing a lot of fuel. But that will take some period of time because not only do we have to get the fuel in, then we got to get the fuel to the gas station. So that's going to take a few days to get caught up because people bought so much gas. And I'm sure driving back, they're going to buy a lot of gas again. But right now, the big risk you've got is on top of those things, you got to be careful. There's so many power lines. Do you want to go to a house when you don't have any power? And then there's, just because we get the evacuation routes, we still have the local roads. And I know I've talked to mayors around the state today, and they're all working hard to get the roads clean. I've talked to sheriffs today, and they're doing the same thing. But there's a lot to prepare before people rush back to their homes. Here's the test. The test did I